Gearing up for the Club FIFA World Cup and also the MLS playoffs, which will come later on in the season. This is the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management program. Accelerate your career in sports with the program committed to developing top-notch executives and managers with a focus on the job placement for students and graduates. The FAU MBA in Sport Management program.
The playoffs are heating up, but your home shouldn't. Stay cool with EDS air conditioning. Right now, qualified customers can take advantage of 0% interest for 60 months on a brand new AC. Hot streaks belong in sports, not in your home. With over 800 Google reviews and a 4.8 star rating, EDS is the name you can trust since 2006. Visit EDSIsYes.com today. Game day comfort starts now. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WESP Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio
Business
station.
owners, are your employees driving you nuts? Is money tight? Or have you just poured your heart and soul into your business and now it's time to retire and just relax? At Transworld Business Advisors, they have buyers from all over the world ready to buy your business now. Call for a confidential conversation about your business's current value. 561-203-5121. That's 561-203-5121 or visit tworld.com today.
Big news, West Palm Beach. Greenway Kia is rolling out the red carpet for our grand reopening, and you're invited. Right now, drive home in a new 2024 Kia Telluride. Luxury, performance, and value. Starting at just $38,998. No tariffs, just huge savings. Get incentives up to $11,000 off MSRP on select new Kias. Got a trade-in? We need it. Any make, any model, any condition. We'll give you up to $6,000 over Kelley Blue Book value towards the purchase of any red tag Kia in stock. Worried about credit? Don't be. If you've got a job bringing home $350 a week, we want to improve your credit today. So what are you waiting for? Celebrate our grand reopening at Greenway Kia of West Palm Beach. Call 800-NEW-KIAs or visit GreenwayKiaWestPalmBeach.com.
We want to see ya in a Greenway Kia.
Stock number SG005991. MSRP $45,235. Plus tax, tag, and $9.99 admin fee. Negative equity refinanced. Offers don't combine.
Hi, this is Evan Cohen. Listen to me in the morning, 6 to 10 a.m. on Unsportsmanlike.
The Heat. Yeah,
Hold
that's
on.
right.
Let me explain something to you.
Right.
No,
LeBron
listen
and the
to me.
Pacers. Remember that?
This proves how difficult it is to get to the finals. All the Cavs fans that want to tell everybody how good they are, guess what? My team, the culture, Jimmy Butler then, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra. It is really hard to get to the NBA Finals. And my team got there twice.
We're on Sportsmanlike.
Right here on ESPN 1063.
Hi, I'm Michael Manzo, owner and founder of Manzo's Italian Deli, and
Stop, Dad. After 20 years, people are tired of hearing your voice.
Yeah, and your lame-ass commercials.
Fresh prosciutto, mozzarella, outstanding.
Oh, please.
There's only one reason Manzo's is voted #1 deli in Palm Beach County for 20 years. Our mother.
She makes sure you prepare everything from scratch using only the freshest ingredients.
Manzo's Italian Deli is located on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, right next to Rain Dancers.
Is that a strip club?
No, it's a steakhouse. Manzo's is open weekdays from 8 to 5 and offers free delivery. So stop by or call 697-9411. That's 697-9411.
we also specialize in hot and cold catering for corporate functions and special events.
Just ask anyone who was at my last birthday party.
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Ball game, Rizzo! Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Thursday, May the 8th, 2025, a new pope officially elected. Conclave. Welcome in Pope Leo the 14th, an American pope. First one in the 2,000 years of the Roman Catholic Church, the 267th pope officially elected today. The white smoke came out of the Vatican, and now we have it. He was born in Chicago, served a lot in Peru, studied at Villanova. Bit of an American background. We got a little bit of that. Knicks came back from down 20 once again last night in Game 2 in Boston. They are up 2-0 on the series now. A difference between closing a game and being caught with your pants down at your ankles. That was the Celtics. Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Packed program today, next 2 hours, right with us on ESPN 106.3. Also streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm. We got Rob Kegren joining us at 420, who is a former priest who lived in the Vatican, 20-year priest career, if you will. He's going to be joining us to help us.
Hold on.
No. He'll be joining us at 420. We'll break down Pope Leo then.
I got to how are you a former priest? I got to ask, man. How does one go to being a former priest?
You want to choose a different path. It's like changing a job.
I don't think it's that easy, partner.
It's like changing a job. Rob Kegren will join us next, and then we'll talk about it with him then.
Fair enough.
Pope Leo, a 2-day conclave over at the Vatican City in Italy.
Yeah, you
said... Quick. They knew. And this is an American Pope.
Right.
So this is... The fascinating thing is he was elected quickly, so clearly there was a liking to him within the Cardinals. And 89 of the 133 votes it takes. It was like 4 ballots. Pope Francis was also elected in 2 days. But he's elected with his birthplace, his background being the United States, which is, in a lot of ways, a global superpower. Controls economy, controls pop culture, politics in a lot of ways, runs through the United States. Now you got a religious figure with background from the United States. That's probably why the U.S. never had a pope with ancestry within the United States.
It separates itself from the global
It's just, I don't know. And it's not like he's operating on the basis of the United States. He's operating, of course, within the church, but that's the reason that there hasn't been United States.
And you said this was relatively a quick vote. They knew
2 days.
Everyone knew what they wanted.
2 days. And that tells you that he was well-liked. I was able to listen to the opening remarks. He said what I expected a pope to say, unification, pushing the church forward, the whole thing like that. It's done. An American pope. So we'll have a breakdown of that on the flip side. Let's start with the Knicks. Knicks come back once again, down 20. And my thought process, weirdly enough, it wasn't as ugly as game 1, but it's almost the same thing.
Yep.
The Celtics, they were sort of sleepwalking through the most of the game. Up 16, up 18, keeping them at bay, up 15. Not really letting the Knicks couldn't score. They couldn't score. 60 points through 3 quarters. Couldn't score. And then the second the fourth quarter hit, the Celtics went on a 8-minute drought without a field goal. And then the Knicks rumble back. All of a sudden, you're dancing down 7, down 3. Then it's a 1-point game, and it's before you even blink. And then you need a couple crucial plays here and there. Advantage Knicks. Close out the game. Jalen Brunson, big plays once again. And then Jason Tatum, the lack thereof, once again. Not pleased with the Celtics.
We talked yesterday about Tatum in a big spot. He had a good second to last possession. How about that? But the last possession, Colin, how are you indecisive there? How don't you know? Colin, it's not like there were 5 seconds left in the ball game when you inbounded the ball. There's 15 seconds left when you inbounded the ball. I'm not going to get on Joe Mazzulla for not calling a timeout. Let him play. There's 15 seconds left. If you can't figure out a good shot with 15 seconds left, that's on you, bro. I put that 100% on Jason Tatum for being indecisive and wanting to pass the ball. He does a step back and then realizes he's being double-teamed. Finally, the whole arena saw that he was getting double-teamed besides Jason Tatum. He panics and he tries to pass. Kyle, I think this is catastrophic level, terrible play by the Celtics. Let me give you some numbers. 8:40, Kyle. At the 8:40 mark in the fourth quarter, you had 84 points. The Celtics had 84 points. They were up by 16 points. They scored 6 points in the final 8 minutes and 40 seconds of the game.
They were terrible.
and the Knicks went on a 23-6 run to end the game.
And it was one of those things where the Celtics got good looks. They had a wide-open Tatum 3 with 3 minutes to go, a wide-open Holiday look. They were getting looks. They just keep shooting the threes. They continue, and it wasn't going well when they were going to the basket anyway. But my takeaway is the second it got close, for the second game in a row now, the second it got close at the end of the game, one team has a specialized closer, and the other team doesn't. It's almost like the Celtics know they want to go to Tatum, but they almost, part of them wants to go to Jaylen Brown, part of them wants to go to Drew Holiday, part of them wants to see if Derek White can make a play. There's an indecision on who your closer is. Knicks, Jaylen, go get us one.
And Jaylen,
go make a play. He does.
Jaylen played bad for like 3.5 quarters, too. It's not like he blew the doors off of you the entire game.
He had mostly a bad game.
And it was like that in game 1, too. It was like that multiple times against Detroit, where, his field goal percentage might have been bad. He might have been missing a lot of shots. But when you need a bucket from him, when you need him in a big spot, he's going to be there. Fair play to Thibodeau and the Knicks. Kyle, all year long, I said, hey, they're playing their guys too much. Tibbs, you play 6 guys. You're playing your guys 45 minutes. Bridges played 51 minutes in a game this series. I think that's working to their advantage right now. You flip it on over to a Cleveland team and had Donovan Mitchell, who is absolutely gassed after 35 minutes. This right now with Tibbs and the way they're coaching, it's working. The issue, Colin, the Celtics, in 2 games, the Celtics have shot 100 threes. Colin, they've made 25.
Yeah, that's why I got to give this part of this to Missoula, too.
25%. 25% from 3.
You don't need to shoot 100 threes over 2 games. Listen, they were tired. I didn't get the sense that they were completely beat up and broken down by the end of the game, and that's why the Knicks had the advantage. I just got the sense that the Knicks knows they could close a game better than Boston can, because they got better closers than Boston can. They make timely plays. The Celtics sort of are coasting, and then all of a sudden, when they realize that there's a sense of urgency to this specific play or that specific play, they haven't been playing like that all game, and therefore they can't get it done. It is bizarre. I give a lot of this to Missoula, Joe Missoula, the head coach of the Boston Celtics.
You're on him today, huh?
What do you think? You're coming out. We like the looks we got, Joe. You can't say this every game. You can't say this every game. Not with the way you guys have been playing. With the amount of max contracts that you've handed out, mid-season acquisitions, good draft picks. You go deep. You get the 6th man of the year. First team All-NBA guys, a different finals MVP, Porzingis, who nobody knows what's going on with him with the illness. Drew Holiday, who's a multi-time champion with 2 different teams, and they're shooting 100 threes in 2 games. Joe, let's change it up. It's your ball movement works. You can't score 91 points at home. You can't do that. That's not going to work. Not with the amount of offense that you guys have. And weirdly enough, I almost walk out of that game with the same perspective as I walked out of game 1. The Celtics are better than the Knicks. That's just the bottom line. But the Knicks have intangibles that the Celtics lack. The Knicks can close a game. The Knicks have a sense of toughness. The Knicks can win gritty. The Celtics win by finesse. And it doesn't serve them really well in this series. The Celtics built this roster to combat Boston. And it's working.
The history standpoint, too, of being up, 20 points and blowing it, the first team in NBA history to be up by 20-plus points and blow it for 2 straight games, being 25 of 100 from 3. And then how about the Knicks here, Kyle? Here's something for you today. The Knicks are the only team in NBA history to have 5 road playoff games won by 3 points or less. Kyle, 3 points or less. 5 straight road playoff games won by 3 points or less.
They've also won 5 in a row. 5 on the road.
Listen, they know how to win a close game. If this gets to a close game at the end, I give the greater sign to the Knicks. The long droughts by the Celtics it's like they just put the car in cruise control. And we're up 16. We're good. We're the Celtics. We're the defending champ. We don't got to worry about these bums in New York.
It's so bizarre that team has championship DNA all over the roster because they don't play like it. They don't play like it at all. Indiana almost plays like it. The Knicks also play like it. They elevate levels based on the urgency of the play, the urgency of the moment. The Celtics don't have that. It doesn't even seem like they're that convinced they want to go to Tatum at the end of the game with Tatum with his shimmy shot and the one-on-one matchup hunting to try to get Brunson on him.
Yep.
Doesn't know whether he wants to go to the basket and mid-range, take a 3. That ISO game doesn't necessarily work. They don't run an offense when the game's in the line. They say, Tatum, go get us one, when they run an offense all game. That's not their. It's very bizarre.
It was one of the worst last shots I've seen in my life, Colin.
Well, it's
one of the worst
I
I've
got to
ever
give
seen in my life.
Mikal Bridges credit because he's been excellent defensively throughout this whole series.
Mitchell Robinson, by the way, forced him to his offhand left as well when they were trying to do the switch. I think all around great defensive play by the Knicks.
Yeah,
Kyle, Celtics still minus 105 to win the series. I'm taking it. I did this on Theoretically Speaking today. I'm still taking the Celtics. After watching the Celtics last night, it made me feel better about being a Cavalier fan as well. I'm still taking these guys in this series. I am. I'm still taking the Cavs. I'm still taking the Celtics 0-2.
Yeah, I think I probably would
I've come around.
I mean, at a certain point, you got to turn this around, but that is going to be a very difficult game 3. There's a lot riding on that.
It is.
Because the Celtics, if they lose to the Knicks in the second round of the postseason, with all the guys that they have under contract, with all the assets that are getting better that they're going to eventually have to pay, that team is going to retool in some capacity. That team will call for Giannis if they lose that game. They will be on the number with Milwaukee to try to get Giannis Antetokounmpo if they miss that. That would be my takeaway. They're going to try to get they'd have to. Because I mean, it won last year, it's hard to repeat. Everybody knows that. It's harder the second time around. The magic, the stars have to align twice. But if I'm the Celtics, you got to figure out how to close these games. And you don't need to shoot 500 threes. You don't need to do it. You're not shooting well from 3? All right, adjust. It's like Mazzulla's allergic to he's a live and die by the plan.
Find a way to score more than 6 points in 8.5 minutes. That was the craziest stat I saw all day. 8:40, you scored 6 points, and it was a 23-6 run for the New York Knicks to win the game by 1.
They went
it's insane.
8 minutes without a field goal.
Insanity.
Joe Mazzulla said, live by the plan, die by the plan. Let's change it up.
That's why I thought, as a Cavalier fan, Kyle, I told you, I said, God, they just got to go cold. They're going cold right now. They're ice cold. They're freezer cold. They're ice cream sandwich cold.
I'm very disappointed in the Celtics' ability for a team with championship DNA. Their ability to close a game is pretty laughable. It's pretty laughable.
Very much so.
Because the Knicks, on the other hand, and one thing I'll say is the Knicks, they built this roster to compete with Boston, to contend with Boston. Wing perimeter defenders, annoying, pesky big man in the paint, a closer, consistent effort. They're built to beat the finesse of the Celtics. Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. You've been in a car accident, truck accident, suffered a slip and fall. Had an accident of any kind, my friends Mark Anajar and Glenn Levine at Anajar and Levine. They got my back no matter what, and they're here to fight for you. Don't settle for any attorney because they don't charge you unless you win. They work tirelessly to get you the maximum compensation that you deserve. Demand Anajar and Levine today because all it takes is one phone call to take back control of your life. Don't wait. Call for that free consultation today. That's 1-800-747-FREE. 1-800-747-3733. Take back control now with Anajar and Levine. 267th Pope was elected today in a 2-day conclave over at the Vatican City. Pope Leo the 14th. Robert Francis Prevost out of Chicago, studied at Villanova. Little tie. He's a dual citizen in Peru as well. We're going to get Rob Kegren, who is a former priest, to break it all down next. Stick around for it. Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll, safety's the goal.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
As market dynamics change, the quality and service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Partner-owned since 1923, Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver value where others can't. Visit ANCHIN.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
This Mother's Day, give Mom a gift with endless possibilities. Give her a gift card to the Breakers Palm Beach. The Breakers gift card lets you treat Mom to all the things she loves, like irresistible oceanfront getaways, lessons at the Breakers' new golf and racket club, pampering at the exquisite spa, and shopping at the resort's stylish collection of boutiques. Gift cards may also be used for dining at the Breakers' renowned restaurants and bars, including Echo, Henry's Palm Beach, HMF, and Flagler Steakhouse. And now, for a limited time, when you purchase a $500 gift card online at thebreakers.com, you'll receive an additional $50 on that card, compliments of the Breakers. You can never repay Mom for all she's done, but a gift card to the Breakers Palm Beach is a great way to start. Visit thebreakers.com today.
Introducing DQ Grill & Chill's new sauced and tossed buffalo chicken strips. A basket of 100% all-white meat seasoned chicken strips now being served with blue cheese or ranch dressing dips. The blizzard of the month is s'mores and mixing bowl mashup. Fresh cookie dough bites and brownie batter for a unique sweet treat. Don't forget a DQ Grill & Chill cake this season. Stop in and pick one up or get a custom order. DQ Grill & Chill with 2 locations, 4828 Lake Worth Road and US 1 just south of North Lake.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Well, we saw the white smoke earlier today at the Vatican City. Pope Leo the 14th, 267th Pope, a 2-day conclave to elect the next Pope, the first Pope from the United States. Born in Chicago, studied at Villanova, dual citizenship in Peru. Pope Leo the 14th. I'm fascinated by this because it sounds like this was a big surprise, so we're going to bring in an expert on this. You might have heard him on the Catholic channel on Sirius XM way back when. He's a former priest of the Roman Catholic Church up till 2014. He lived in the Vatican from 2002 to 2007. If you listen to First Take, he is sometimes referred to as Fat Rob. It is Rob Kegren joining us now. Rob, welcome to the program. How are we doing?
I'm doing great, Colin. Great to talk to both of you.
All right, Rob, let's start with this. It sounds like this is a big surprise in the from this conclave being ended so abruptly, number one, and number two, from a North American priest being elected as the next pope. Give me a breakdown there. Was this a big surprise from somebody in the inner circle such as yourself?
Colin, the first surprise is what you hit on, that it was so quick. I mean, I was in the square for when Ratzinger became Pope Benedict XVI in 2005. I covered the election of Pope Francis in 2013. The one thing that I was pretty sure of with this one that it was going to take a while. I thought it would at least go to tomorrow and, maybe 7, 8, 9 ballots, something like that. They do about 4 a day. What shocked me the most is that, early on a Thursday evening in Rome, after the 4th ballot, which was one less than Francis was elected on, we already had someone. So that was the first shock to me. And then absolutely, while this guy, Prevost, Robert Prevost, was someone who was looked at as a kind of a fringe candidate, so not like the most earth-shattering news in the world that he was considered or became Pope, the fact that they really did buckle down and choose an American, still to this day, to this moment, a few hours later, I'm still flabbergasted. I thought if this guy got elected, it would be because he was a compromise candidate that where they couldn't get along on a couple of others, they moved to him. The fact that this was their first choice and he was an American is very surprising.
Rob, what does having an American Pope mean?
Well, I think first and foremost, if you've looked at the last few different elections, they were certainly really interesting, good American cardinal candidates. But with the strength of America, with how big of a world superpower we are, and the church being so much bigger, obviously, than the United States. In fact, If you look at the population of Catholics, it's just a small percentage in the United States. But around the world, there are countries where it's 90, still to this day, 95% Catholic. I think the Cardinals generally like to not centralize power where there is so much power politically or geopolitically. They don't want to centralize that power in the church. And so it is really big. It is a huge story that the first American Pope is someone from Chicago, Illinois. Right? In my lifetime, and I'm only in my early 40s, if you had asked me would I see an American Pope, I would have bet, and I like to gamble, boys, I would have bet a lot of money that it would never happen. And the fact that it happened at this stage of the game, I'm really surprised. And it is that big story that they essentially didn't think it was going to be that big of a risk in this particular guy. And I'm going to give you just a little nugget on why that is. It's because he spent most of his life, most of his career, outside of the United States. He's only worked as a priest for about 10 years or so in the States, mostly in Chicago, a little bit in D.C. Most of the rest of his time is either studying or working in Rome or working in Peru. So I think the Cardinals saw it as, well, yeah, everybody's going to see and hear that he's an American, but they're really going to think, hey, this guy has spent way more time outside of America than most of the other American Cardinals.
Well, especially the idea of a conclave, the politics surrounding it was really popularized. Conclave movie came out. I know that was probably not accurate. It's based on a book, but the idea of it has been popularized in at least the last year. The politics within the Vatican during a conclave like this, it sounds like, yeah, they're thinking about, yeah, he was in Peru for a bit. He was only in the United States for a half second. Is there a sense of, I guess, like a challenge and animosity towards an American-based cardinal that could potentially be elected? Is that what it's about? Is it? You said the centralized church in the United States, but what really sells this guy internally, do you think?
I think what sells him, here's the first thing that sells him internally, right? So he was a bishop for about 10 years or so in Peru, in a very small place, a diocese that even I, who am so tuned into all this stuff, had never even heard of before, a couple of months ago. So he's there for 10 years, and then 2 years ago, Pope Francis calls him to Rome to run this office in Rome. And it's called, there's a fancy title for it, it's called the Congregation for Bishops. But basically what his job is to run the selection process for Catholic bishops all over the world. Not in any one particular place, but the entire world needs bishops as they either pass on or they move to a different diocese. They have to be selected. So Francis picks this guy literally out of obscurity, right? I mean, he's an American who's a bishop in Peru. He'd only been a bishop for about 10 years, 10 years at this point, I guess. He was only been a bishop at that place for about 7 years when he was selected to go to Rome. So if Francis picks this guy, I think he was sending a very clear message that this is the kind of guy I want. Now, you don't get to pick your successor as Pope, but you certainly can send some signals, and I think he sent a signal to all of those Cardinals. If it's not him, I want it to be someone like him.
Wow. So Rob Kegren joining us now, the former priest, Catholic Channel, Sirius XM, some experience there, helping us break down Pope Leo the 14th, the 267th Pope elected today at the conclave, 2 days in, 4 ballots, a quick conclave at that. Rob, you mentioned the message that Pope Francis maybe expunged upon to the other cardinals. What do you think the message that the Catholic Church is now sending to the rest of the world now that following Pope Francis, here's Pope Leo, here's the direction we're trying to go? Give us a little sense of that.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of continuity in terms of messaging, in terms of style, but there are going to be some nuances as well. I think Prevost, Leo the 14th, is very similar to Francis in what their priorities are going to be. I think they're going to communicate it in very different ways, though. So Francis obviously was all about taking care of the poor. He lived a very humble lifestyle. He didn't, as most people know, he didn't move into the palatial Vatican apartments. He stayed in a guest house his entire 12 years as Pope. I think Prevost is probably going to do a lot of things similar to that, but I think the way they speak is going to be different. So Francis, like I said, he prioritized the poor and the marginalized. He prioritized migrants. And if we're just looking around our country over the last few months, Francis was pretty clear, even in his last days, that he did not like a lot of what was going on in our country. And I'm not trying to get into the politics of it. I'm just telling you, I think this guy is going to be very similar, but he's going to be much clearer. So Francis was not an academic, right? He worked almost his entire life in parishes, in dioceses, in Argentina. Well, Robert Prevost is an intellectual. He has a number of different degrees. He's worked in Rome for a long time. I think he's going to be very specific about all of those same priorities: the poor, the marginalized, migrants, climate change. He's just going to do it in a much more nuanced and direct way.
Rob, you've been in the Vatican. You know how these things work. I'm a fellow Catholic, and so is Colin. Walk us through the politics of, kind of getting a pope in there. Are you buying votes, partners, or back channeling? What's the politics of getting a pope in there?
Well, I'm pretty sure there are no buy-in of the votes. But
get what I'm saying, partner? Is there any back channeling?
Yep.
Come on,
There's a lot of negotiation, let's say that, right? So there are a number of different factions, whether it be from where you're from in the world, or the way you think about the church, or the way you think about how the world should interact with the church. And so for the last week and a half, basically since Francis passed away, the cardinals met every single morning other than Sundays for about 4 or 5 hours, where they all had an opportunity to speak. Now, it's not to campaign. It's really to talk about what they think the priorities should be going forward. And I can tell you for sure that 20 years ago, when Benedict XVI was elected, Ratzinger was very impressive in those meetings. Back in 2013, Bergoglio, who became Francis, was very impressive in those meetings. I haven't gotten the report yet of what these meetings have been like. That'll start leaking out over the next couple of weeks. But I can bet dollars to donuts that Prevost was very impressive in those meetings. And in those meetings, you start to whittle down to maybe, I thought 5 to 10. It seems more likely it was probably only 2 to 3 candidates. And then it's factions starting to negotiate with each other. Here's who we want. This is who you want. Well, let's see if we can get you over on our side. And so they're sitting together, at lunch daily. Now, this only lasted a day and a half, right? So they would have sat together at dinner last night. They would have sat together at lunch today. But at that point, it was probably almost fait accompli. So there can be a lot of politics and going back and forth with each other. I think this one was way simpler than that, guys. I think it was, we like this guy. He has a lot of momentum. So I would say this morning, right? So when you guys woke up this morning, there was black smoke because they had taken 2 votes and they didn't have a pope. But by the end of that third vote, right before they broke for lunch, they knew that they were really close to having a pope, and there wasn't a whole lot that had to happen. They probably sat at lunch with a handful of guys who were holdouts and convinced them to come to that side, and it didn't take much convincing.
It didn't take much convincing at all. Pope Leo XIV, of course, Robert Prevost, who served mostly in Peru, but from Chicago, Illinois, studied at Villanova. Rob Kegren joining us now to help us break it down. Rob, you mentioned a compromise candidate. Of course, Pope Leo was not this case because it was just how quick the conclave was. But when a compromise candidate comes about, you almost say, all right, well, we can't swing everybody to this side, to side A, but we also can't swing everybody back to side B. So we almost have to find a narrow alley C in order to find a candidate that maybe will keep us off, I don't want to say the word radical, but the X word side of this or that side. Give us a sense of how the compromise candidate can really work in these conclaves.
Yeah, so the last one that we've seen like this was obviously way before you guys were born, and actually a couple years before I was born. It was John Paul II, right? So John Paul II is a cardinal from Rome. His name is Karol Wojtyła in 1978, and this is a very interesting year, right? 1978 is the year of 3 popes. Paul VI passes away. They have an election. They elect John Paul I. He only lasts 33 days, dies of illness. And they have a conclave again, basically 6 weeks after they already had one. And so they go into that with a couple of other candidates that were basically the runners-up to John Paul I. Neither of them can get, after the first day and a half, neither of them can get any traction. And so they look to someone who's much younger, and that's where the compromise was, because they were looking at older guys. And so they literally have to go in there and say, well, it's not going to work. The 2 guys that we have can't seem to take votes from each other. So they essentially get one of those guys to throw his support behind Karol Wojtyła, which starts getting momentum on the 3rd day, and he starts getting votes to the point where he's ahead of where the original candidate was. And so that's where, once that momentum starts building, they realize, all right, well, this one we can feel comfortable with, maybe wasn't our first choice, but I can get factions of both sides to get on the train and get this thing to the finish line. And so that's the last time it happened, so that's almost, we're talking 47 years ago. The last few have been basically consensus candidates from a very early on time in the conclave.
We haven't seen it in Pope Francis, of course, or definitely in Pope Leo. How much does youth come into factor or when deciding amongst the cardinals this next pope?
How much does what come into factor, Colin?
Youth. Age.
Youth. That's a great question, right? So the last two obviously were in their late 70s when they were elected, Francis and Benedict. I'm going to say 69 is young because it is in the Catholic Church, right? It's not young anywhere else, but because it's a job for life, it is young. I mean, if you think about it, you're electing a guy who's under 70, you're thinking that this guy is going to be there for 20 years, and that absolutely is a conscious decision. There was one candidate who was a little bit younger, a Filipino guy named Tagle. I think his age, his youth probably scared people off too much. You could have him for 25 or 30 years, but let's be fair. I mean, Leo XIV could be there for 20 years, and that is not a short period of time. That's an entire generation where he'll be able to shape the church. And I think they wanted someone in the spirit of Francis who didn't necessarily talk like Francis, who could provide stability. And now you have Francis for 12 years and theoretically Leo for maybe 20 years, and now you have a generation and a half of people who are shaped by two people who think a lot alike.
Now, Rob, does Leo the 14th have a chance to be GOAT status?
I would say that would be really tough. I don't think he has the personality for that. I think he'll have a lot of impact. I think he'll be able to do a lot of good. But Francis had a great personality. Whether you agreed with him or not, he was extremely personable and willing to go to the far ends of the world to connect with people. Benedict didn't have that. John Paul II certainly did, and I had the opportunity to meet John Paul II 3 times, and every time I met him, it was an incredible experience because you felt like you were the only person in the room. John Paul II, you could argue GOAT status. I'm not sure that it's there, but you could argue that. Francis, I think if he lasted a little longer, could have been too, but I don't think you're going to get that from a guy who's probably way more reserved than those two guys were.
And Rob, John Paul II, according to my Mrs. Webster, who, 9 years of Catholic school, Rob, I mean, my goodness, she'd wear the Jesus sandals, the whole 9 yards. That woman knew her politics when it came to the popes. She said John Paul II was the GOAT.
And I think it's a fair argument. I mean, he was Pope for 27 years.
A long time,
he did a lot in his own, just taking down the Soviet Union. He had profound impact all over the world. He traveled the entire world in his 27 years. He had and particularly while he was healthy. I mean, and he was an athlete, John Paul II, right? He skied every winter. He played all kinds of sports.
Goat.
He was engaged. He was Pope at in his late 50s. He had a lot of his vigor still when he was Pope, and so that gives him an advantage right there. But he had a personality. He spoke so many languages. He connected with people all over the world. I think you can make that argument that John Paul II was. I don't think you're going to get that out of this guy. I think you're going to get a solid Pope. It's just you have to have a dynamism and personality. You guys know this.
Absolutely, Rob.
So you think
we're going to see that?
You think this is a safer candidate on the stretch, that this guy might not be one of the all-time greats, but he's definitely going to give you a safe, you said 20 years, a safe and collected 20 years of service, give or take.
I think he provides a stability. I think he does a lot of what Francis would do, but he does it in a much more specific, clear way, where Francis wanted to leave things kind of ambiguous, and sometimes you didn't even know if he meant what he was saying or if he was just trying to get people to think. I don't think you're going to get that from Pope Leo XIV. I think you're going to get, I'm going to talk about the things Francis talked about, but I'm going to talk about them in very clear, specific ways.
Rob, the Celtics are still minus 105 to win the rest of the series. Are you still in on that?
Okay, that is one of the stupidest bookmaking decisions in the world, and you know how much I like to gamble because you know how much I like to gamble with your dad occasionally. And, yeah, that is ridiculous. Minus one, they should be plus 155, 165 at best. What? All of a sudden, they're not going to go. They're not going to shoot 22% from the three-point line. And Missoula is so freaking lost, unbelievable, that we're going to just keep letting them heave up threes as we're up 20. How about we go to the rim? How about we find a way to get an easy basket instead of chucking them up? My gosh, they are lost. The Celtics should be plus 155, 65 at best. And you agree with me. I know it.
Rob, I am the sucker who's taking Boston minus 105. I am also the sucker who is taking my Cleveland Cavaliers at plus 160. Rob, they're 25 of 100 from three. You're telling me they're going to continue to shoot 20% from three? This is a team that almost came back down 0-3 to a Miami Heat team. This is an NBA championship team from last year. We're talking about Tom Thibodeau and the New York Knicks, who play 5 guys 50 minutes. I'm not buying the Knicks. I'm still not buying the Pacers. I'm banking on the Cavaliers guys getting out of their street clothes and deciding and earning a paycheck. I'm still buying these teams down 0-2.
Okay, number one, minus 105 is truly a sucker bet, right? Because there's
that's what I said. I'm buying it. Guess what? I'm gonna win that bet too. I'm gonna win that bet too.
If you told me you took them at plus 140, I'd say, okay, it's worth a flyer, right? They are a championship pedigree team. You want to tell me you're getting them on a plus 140 line? I'll go all in with you. I'll give you my money for it. But for minus 105, when I'm laying vig juice on a team that has been so bad at those first 2 games at home, I'm not saying that they're going to still shoot those percentages. They're going to shoot a little bit better, but you put yourself in a 2-0 hole. Now, you're telling me the Knicks aren't going to win one of these games at home? Are you really telling me that? They're going to win one at home, so now you're going to be down 3-1, and you're going to have to win 3 in a row, and I don't think that's happening. And if you want to talk about a disaster, it's your Cleveland team, that's for sure, because they're not winning that series.
I agree with this. I would take Indiana in a second. I agree with the side that I think the Celtics will have a chance at winning this series. I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers
let's make a wager. Let's do a wager. What do you got?
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you what I actually have. I have Indiana to win the series at plus 396 before Game 1. So thank you very much, and I'll be cashing that.
It's not over, Rob. Rob, the last time I checked,
so you took at the beginning plus 396 to win the series. The Pacers, you took that?
It's a little early to be taking victory laps, Rob. That's all I'm saying.
2 games on the road, and your team, half the guys aren't even playing. When are they going to come back? They're going to play one. And maybe everybody kills Thibodeau for playing these guys so many minutes. Seems to have worked. They seem to have their legs in the fourth quarter. I'll tell you, your guy Mitchell, who only plays 34 minutes a night, now when we need him, not as existent as we'd like him to be. Would we agree on that at least?
Yeah, I would agree with this. I think Rob is 100% right. I would give the Cleveland Cavaliers less of a chance to come back in the series comparatively to Boston, because Boston has lost by 2 total points.
It's fair.
In a span of 2 games in their building. Rob, I think that is fair.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when you have those many injuries and you're in this situation where you've put yourself in a 2-0 hole, and Indiana can shoot the ball and they're well coached, I know we agree with that. I think you're in big trouble.
So let me get this straight.
Boston has a better chance than Cleveland does.
Let me get this straight.
Yes.
They shot 58% from 3 and 52% from the field in Game 1.
Mike, your team is not healthy. Hold on. Mike, your team's not healthy.
Hold on. They were up 7 points with 40 seconds left. I was already trying to cash my ticket that I had on the Cavs. All hell breaks loose and they lose. And you guys are telling me there's no chance that the Cavs could come back.
I'm not saying that. We're saying you have better chance than the Celtics.
Rob's already cashing his plus 390 check.
Yeah,
and it's not over. It's not even a closeout. Rob, it's not even a closeout game. And
Mike,
you're cashing your
2-0
check.
They just lost 2 games at home. I mean, what are you this all things
you
are good?
You just lost a game in heartbreaking fashion. You had no business losing that game, just as Boston had no business losing either Game 1 or Game 2. Now you're going to tell me that they're going to shoot better and they're not going to choke away a game at the end? There's a margin for error now. Indiana and the Knicks have all kinds of margin for error, and that's where you're going to have a problem. And at least Boston is, for the most part, healthy. You're not healthy. You're not going to win this series, Mike. It's not happening.
Okay.
And
I
both,
disagree.
And both the Pacers and the Knicks are going to be tremendously motivated in Game 3 because they don't want these teams to hang around. They think the same thing we're thinking. Give them breathing room.
The Garland, the Hunter, and the Mobley had to hear all week how soft they are. How they don't care about basketball. I think those kids are going to win by 20. I think they're all going to play and win by 20 points in Indiana coming up. That's a 60. That's a 60.
You know what? I'm going to become
Rob, that's a 64.
Take his bet.
Rob, that's a 64-win team.
Rob,
this isn't a team that squeaked their way into the playoffs.
Mike, they shouldn't have lost 2 games at home. That's what we'll say there. Rob, we appreciate the time. We appreciate you and help us giving us a little sense of Pope Leo the 14th. Looking forward to speaking again soon. Hopefully you could. I think you have Toronto too to win the Stanley Cup, so hopefully you can win that. The Indiana Pacer in Toronto.
10-1. 10-1. We love that one too. Take care, guys. It was great talking to you.
All right, Rob. Rob Kegren, of course, the former priest. You heard him on the SiriusXM Catholic channel. He lived in the Vatican 2002 to 2007, was a priest up till 2014, and now he is very interested in the Indiana Pacers plus 396 to win the series over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat. We'll take a time out here on ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 1063.
Improve your golf game fast at the all-new Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center has the facilities, tools, and coaching you need. Enjoy the best facilities in the area with an expansive chipping and putting area, practice bunkers, a huge putting green, plus a 2,000 square foot indoor training area with 3 hitting bays, cutting-edge analysis technology, and more. The Kaiser University Golf Coaching Center in the heart of Palm Beach County off I-95 and the Turnpike. Find out more at KaiserGolfCenter.com.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Progressive knows if you have to choose between everyday life and your boat, boat wins.
What are you going to do? Take the boat out for a spin or go mail something? Boat wins! Are we cleaning the patio or taking the boat out fishing? Boat wins! Are we skipping that eye exam to go sailing? Boat wins!
Rescheduling eye exams can be a nightmare.
All right, fine. Eye exam, then boat.
Yeah!
With Progressive, you can bundle your boat with your home or auto and save with a discount and spend more time enjoying those savings on your boat. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states and situations.
It's been a chilly start to the year, but don't let the rising temperatures catch you off guard. Hey, it's Colin Russo, and since 1960, John C. Cassidy Air Conditioning and Plumbing has proudly served Palm Beach County, keeping homes cool and comfortable. Now's the time to upgrade your AC with great financing options. Plus, ask about the Cassidy Care Club, providing year-round peace of mind. Cassidy is part of our local community and supports organizations like the YMCA and the Palm Beach Gardens Youth Athletic Association. Keep cool with Cassidy Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Find out more at CassidyAC.com.
Are you ready for a global summer showdown? Saturday, June 14th at Hard Rock Stadium. Football legends collide at the opening match of the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Al Ahly versus Inter Miami. Messi, Jordi Alba, and Inter Miami take on Jamal Mashour and Mohamed El Shenawi of the Egyptian powerhouse Al Ahly. Don't miss your chance to be part of history. Saturday, June 14th at Hard Rock Stadium. Grab your tickets now at FIFA.com/tickets.
What would you do with an extra $700? You can earn up to $700 per year with Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Boost Checking pays 7.0 annual percentage yield on balances up to $10,000. That's up to $700 extra to do what you love. Boost Checking from Flagler Credit Union. Requirements apply to earn the highest dividend rates. Limit 1 checking account per membership. Dividend rates and annual percentage yield subject to change. Business accounts do not qualify. Insured by NCUA, proud partner of Florida Atlantic University Athletics.
She ain't gon' tie me down. Why you on the road? Got all the shirts, all the hats, all the clothes. What you want right now? What up right now? I think you need to close your mouth, cause you ain't gon' tie me down.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
Well, the Celtics are minus 105 still to win the series, and you got Game 2 just concluded last night. You got Game 3 of the Pacers and Cleveland Cavaliers coming up tomorrow. You got tonight, you got Game 2 between the Warriors and the T-Wolves in Minnesota. You're going to be watching this stuff anyway. No better time to get started over on Hard Rock Bet. Go download the app today on the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store. Go to hardrock.bet online to get started today. Hard Rock Bet, it caters to both types of players. The brand new player who's still trying to learn how to maneuver and acclimate to a sports book. It is as accessible as it can be for a player of that stature. Also, over a player who is experienced, wants to get clever, wants to put together a complicated parlay. You could do that as well on the Hard Rock Bet app. Best part is you get $100 back in bonus bets if and when your first bet does not hit. That's Hard Rock Bet, offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida. The wager, terms and conditions apply. Considered by gambling. Call 1-888-ADMITTED. Sounds like this Pope's going to be a pretty good Pope.
I asked him if he was ready for GOAT status.
Well, a little early.
It's a little early there, but certainly I think getting an American to what do we call him? Fat Rob? Does he
he goes by Fat Rob.
Right, well,
he doesn't go by Fat Rob, but he's called Fat Rob.
Okay. Well, the Fat Rob's point, it's hard to be up there with Pope John Paul II. You know what I mean? He is the all-time, one of the all-time greats.
The interesting thing he said was he's under the impression that Pope Francis let these little nuggets because he was brought as a cardinal under Pope Francis from Peru.
I see.
So he's under the impression that Pope Francis said, I really like this guy, left his little nuggets that maybe if and when I pass, I want this guy to at least be in a good running. And nobody would know that other than internally, which tells you why all the predictions and the lines and the whole thing like that, why that didn't favor Robert Prevost, who ended up winning the conclave or getting elected in the conclave.
Can you gamble on a pope being
There's
elected?
no doubt in my mind that a gambling company of some sort
It's available,
lines.
that it was
there's no doubt
available.
in my- I don't think Hard Rock had it, but I'm pretty sure some did. I'm pretty sure. But point being, this guy came out of nowhere, and an American pope now who went to Villanova. Dare I say a little mojo?
Villanova?
New York Knicks. They got 4 Nova guys right there. Dare I say a little mojo? Now you get the Pope on your side.
They're up 2-0.
Now you get the Pope on your side. That's all I'll say. Isn't that fascinating?
It
With
is.
the conclave, you got to get 89 votes out of 133 capably voting, or electors, I should say, of the Cardinals, out of the 252 Cardinals there are. And they do a couple tallies a day, and the 4th ballot, they knew who their Pope was going to be. And there was a movie that came out last year that got nominated for Best Picture based on a book, but it really illustrated the politics behind conclaves. And we didn't get into it with Rob Kegren, who just joined us previous segment, but in that, the politics surrounding it, campaigning's not the right word because it's not public, but it's sneaky campaigning.
That's what I said. I joked around. Are there payments being made? Are there
Not
back
even that,
channeling?
but there's a
there
direction.
are politics to this.
There's
yes.
a direction of the Catholic
Correct.
Church that is associated with certain candidates or certain cardinals that could be elected. Therefore, if what I said about the compromise candidate, if there's one that's maybe a little too radical to this side versus another one that's a little too radical to what he thinks maybe a little too traditional on this side, then all of a sudden they got to find somebody in the middle if they're never going to meet a middle ground. So that's where it gets very creative and interesting.
It was funny today in the office because, doing 9 years of Catholic school, Pope Benedict, when he was elected, Colin.
2005.
Yeah, I was in school. And going to my Catholic school, St. Joseph and John's, the whole day we didn't have class. We literally just watched the Pope and, get, what's the right word? Elected, sure. And everybody, when the white smoke came out, everyone in the office, we kind of stopped for like 10 minutes. I'm like, God, this reminds me back in, Mrs. Webster's 6th grade class, watching the Pope. It's a big deal.
It is.
It's a big deal, but
there's 1.4 billion Roman Catholics amongst the world.
Colin and I being one of them.
And I was going through some of the statistics. Latin America has 41% of the Roman Catholics in the world. 41% of the population, and only 18% of the voters are from Latin American or served at least in Latin American countries.
So more people agreed than...
There's a lot in Italy. There's like 17 cardinal voters from Italy. I believe there's 10 from the United States or North America.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's really it's all over the place, and it's fascinating how it's a lot of it's picking up steam at the right time. And then all of a sudden, you're the most famous religious figure in the world, just like that. So
it's all we mentioned with Rob, previous meetings, how you carried yourself in this specific meeting, maybe what you voted on.
People looking for a leader.
Yeah.
It's not dissimilar to how a president gets elected. You're looking for a leader. You're looking for a message. You're looking for somebody that unifies, but also somebody that drives the Catholic Church forwards or backwards if need be.
Right.
So that's fascinating.
And
he said nuggets that'll come out in the next couple weeks, so we'll hear how he did in those internal meetings.
Pope Francis, the former pope.
Yes.
So it's interesting you say that he left little tidbits that he wanted this guy. That's allegedly. That's allegedly. But at the same time, Kyle, I kind of find that hard to believe because you'd think that you might want to switch things up a little bit. You've had Pope Francis in his style a little bit. I'm going to do some sports talk here. Leo is under the same coaching tree as Pope Francis. And they're very similar in the way they operate. So you're going to have more of the same, maybe.
You're not getting a replacement.
Because it's coming from the same coaching tree.
It's not the same as, it's not Pope Francis Part 2.
It's his disciple, right?
This is a different person,
right?
But somebody who shares a lot of the same values and direction of the Catholic Church. It shouldn't be like politics, where if you elect a Republican, all of a sudden then the Republican spends 4 years trying to reassociate the government in the way that they like. And then all of a sudden a Democrat gets elected the next election, and then they try to undo everything that the previous candidate did, and then tried to rebuild it back up again. They don't have enough time. Then all of a sudden you go back and forth. That is just problematic for anybody. I think they're really looking at who's going to be a good vehicle, and this is not a term limit. It's, he could be there for 20 years. Who is going to be the vehicle to drive the Catholic Church in the right direction? People loved Pope Francis, and I don't think people thought, let's deviate from what has been working in a way, especially if he has been culturally and worldwide accepted as a good pope who is thinking about everybody at hand. He was did a lot with the poor. He was a forward-thinking pope, and I think people understood that. And now that this guy has United States ties, you don't want to centralize the church to have a background with the United States, but that's why that this guy must have been such a good sell that now all of a sudden they thought they forewent that, because there's a reason that there hasn't been a North American pope in the 2,000 years.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter to them. He was that good of a candidate. I also, 2 days is quick, Kyle? 2 days is
very quick. Very quick.
Yeah.
And it tells you that the message was clear. You're telling a message with how long this takes. A fourth ballot, all of a sudden you're telling everybody, we're on the same page. Mostly. We're on the same page.
Yep. There's a few outliers, a few things you got to figure out. I'm excited. I don't know. I'll tell you what, Kyle. I've never been this excited for a pope in my entire life, man. You know how to get me up for a good pope election.
The conclaves are fascinating. It really is, because it's so internalized, it's so secretive, yet it's so historic.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see. You're never going to know the insides, but how these guys pick up steam at the right time. Campaigning's the wrong word, but how they the other cardinals vouch for candidate X, saying candidate X will prevent candidate Y from leading the Catholic Church in this direction. We don't want this. So then you got to get the guys who are middling, the moderates for a lot of ways, the independents, and swing them to your side of the pendulum. It's fact, because it's not as X and O as black and white as politics. Some people think Republican, they're only going to think Republican. Some people think Democrat, they're only going to think Democrat. You got to think future of the Catholic Church. So I thought that was fascinating. We got to do a little Game 2 action between Warriors T-Wolves. Joe Mazzulla. Can any of these 1 seeds who are in or I guess I should say the top 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference, can they rumble back in their series both down 2-0 to the Pacers and the Knicks? That is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics, both down 2-0. Can either of them come back, rumble into the series? I lean on the side that it is more possible for Boston. Mike maybe leans on the side that it is possible for both.
Oh, it's both. No doubt.
But it's more it is also quite possible for Cleveland.
That's the theme. The theme right now is the 2 teams down 0-2. The NBA's got you right where you want. We've had great games. The road teams, both of them just won. Now it's time for the favorite to storm back. And, I'm not...
You're acting like it's a movie.
It is.
It's not a movie.
It's a movie.
You got to close out the series.
I'm creating the narrative, Kyle. And honestly, Rob already counting his money. Oh, I know the Cavs are coming back in this series now.
888-760-3776. Got the Pacers at plus 400 to win series.
Dude, good line. What do you mean? It already cashed according to him. This is a closeout game.
888-760-3776. Number to get into Russo and Rizzo. Do either the Cavs or the Boston Celtics have a good shot at coming back down 2-0? Who has a better shot amongst the two of them, or both of them dead in the water? Let us know. 888-760-3776. Christian Cat. We'll loop him into the conversation next. It's Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds, through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
As market dynamics change, the quality of service you receive from your accounting firm shouldn't. Anshin Accountants and Advisors take the time to get to know you and your unique circumstances to help resolve complex issues and develop innovative tax and accounting solutions tailored to meet your goals. If you're a high net worth individual or business owner eager for a strategy to maximize tax savings, let Anshin deliver where others can't. Visit anchin.com. Anshin Accountants and Advisors, recalculating what's possible.
May the force be with you, baseball fans! Take a trip to the Rebel Base Clover Park for the St. Lucie Mets annual Star Wars night. Coming Saturday, May 10th, the Mets will take on the evil Empire, Clearwater Threshers, in a battle to control the galaxy known as the Florida State League. The Mets will wear their special Star Wars-themed jerseys, and there will be other Star Wars-themed entertainment through the game. Enjoy appearances from Star Wars characters and the best fireworks show in the galaxy after the game. That's Star Wars night on Saturday, May 10th at Clover Park.
Mike Rizzo here with the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management program. The Club FIFA World Cup is set to begin coming up this June. We're a little under a month away from the Club FIFA World Cup beginning in Miami June 14th, and none other than the Inter Miami Herons are going to be a part of that opening match. It's going to be Inter Miami versus Al Ahly. Al Ahly is a top Egyptian Premier League team, and Inter Miami recently got knocked out of the CONCACAF Champions Cup in the semifinal round, so they will be gearing up for the Club FIFA World Cup and also the MLS playoffs, which will come later on in the season. This is the Sports Business Minute presented by the FAU MBA in Sport Management program. Accelerate your career in sports with the program committed to developing top-notch executives and managers with a focus on the job placement for students and graduates. The FAU MBA in Sport Management program.
Anajar and Levine.
Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 1063.
WESP Jupiter, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Is your air or water flowing perfectly in your home? If the answer is no, EDS is yes. Theo here, and for me, EDS Air Conditioning and Plumbing is my go-to, and it should be yours too. EDS is Palm Beach County's trusted AC and plumbing expert. They'll make sure your air and water flow perfectly. EDS is a trained comfort specialist. It's hard to stop a train. Go to edsisyes.com. That's edsisyes.com. When comfort matters, EDS is yes.
Did you miss Theoretically Speaking?
Florida State 2 years ago with Jordan Travis. It's closer to a national championship than Miami.
I guess they have a point for being unhappy of even though they won every single game their season. Maybe they've got a point.
If you're a guy that spent your whole summer training, 2-a-days, and the opportunity to be able to at least compete for a championship gets taken away because just one guy got injured, that's looking at that left tackle or that running back or that wide receiver and spitting in their face.
It's Theoretically Speaking, weekdays at 2, here on ESPN 1063.
At St. Lucie Battery and Tire, batteries came before tires. We've been selling and servicing all types of batteries for over 50 years. So when you need a battery for nearly anything, we have it, as well as the fast professional installation you need. We carry premium batteries for all your needs: automotive, commercial, marine, RV, and specialty. We also offer delivery and on-site installation, serving our customers quality products for over 50 years in the home of honest, reliable service. Go to slbt.com and book your next appointment.
While it's not always possible to see contaminated water coming out of the faucet, the taste is difficult to ignore. And what about plastics and pharmaceuticals now in the water? The team at Culligan is here to help. Culligan offers water testing and reverse osmosis systems designed to filter out those contaminants right at the source. Culligan has been helping the local community with water issues since 1936. Schedule your appointment today at Culligan.com.
Hey, Culligan man!
Now, it's time for a little R&R.
All into the bucket, lays it up and in.
Live in the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios, this is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 1063.
This team is going to be tough when they finally get it together.
Sit back and relax. Let Russo and Rizzo take you home.
Oh, mercy! Light him up, Colin!
Second hour, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 1063, May the 8th, 2025. Appreciate everybody aboard right now with Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, and Christian Cat. 888-760-3776, number to get into the program. Also on your radio dial at ESPN 1063, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter/X at ESPN West Palm. For the MLS fans, you're going to be well fed throughout the next couple weeks because we got us a lot of action coming up, don't we, Mike?
Yes, it is the Club FIFA World Cup, folks, coming up June 14th. Make sure you secure your tickets now at FIFA.com/tickets. That is FIFA.com/tickets. We're going to have Lionel Messi, the great one for Inter Miami, kicking things off with the inaugural first game coming up against Al Ahly. It is Al Ahly, by the way, is an Egyptian team. They play in the Egyptian Premier League, but certainly getting a lot of games of Lionel Messi is going to be fun. You're going to be seeing Real Madrid as well. I mean, there are a lot of names that I could go through. I don't think one is bigger than Kylian Mbappe, arguably considered the best player in soccer. Kylian Mbappe here in the flesh in Miami. Are you kidding me? Not to mention Manchester City, one of the GOATs, Pep Guardiola. On the gaffer side, on the coaching side, you're going to have Erling Haaland. He's injured, but he's going to be here as well. You're going to have Marmoush, their striker as well. The names are endless that are coming in town for the Club FIFA World Cup. Secure your tickets now at FIFA.com/tickets. That is FIFA.com/tickets.
Christian Catter, producer behind the glass at the City Play Studios. Hi, Christian.
Hey.
How you doing?
Doing okay. You know, our internet will wake me up. I don't care about Pope talk. I got to be honest.
You don't like the Pope?
He didn't like that.
You didn't like the Pope?
He didn't like
that.
that.
What don't you like about the Pope?
I don't care about the Pope.
The Pope does nothing for you.
No.
The leader of the Catholic Church does nothing for you.
No, as a Catholic myself, I don't.
Well, clearly not the very devout.
Yeah. No, he's not. But Christian, I'll tell you what. You weren't into the GOAT conversation?
No.
I asked if you could be the GOAT, you know.
No.
Pope John Paul II is the GOAT, by the way, Kyle. It's not even close in my eyes.
I thought it's cool that we have our first American Pope. I thought it's cool that we have a Pope that's been inside a Walmart before. That was kind of cool.
And then you got
probably eating at a Culver's.
And then time out. Mm-hmm. And then you got a former corrupt priest talking about how he's already cashing his ticket at plus 390. I thought that was must-listen radio, personally, Kyle.
He's not a Pope guy. I'm sorry.
You just don't like the Pope. All right, so you're not interested in Pope Leo the 14th getting elected in the conclave in 2 days.
No. Again, the Pope being elected and the Kentucky Derby both could never happen again in my life, and I would not miss it.
With you on the Kentucky Derby, not with you on the Pope, though.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, you got anything else for us?
Let's see. Played 18 holes today.
No, so you don't. All right, let's move on. 5-5, Flagler Credit Union. Let's do it.
5 topics.
High five.
5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Let's get out of here.
Endless takes.
You can't handle the truth.
All gas, no brakes.
And it's shaking big time.
It's time for the 5 at 5.
Hold on to your butts.
Presented by Flagler Credit Union, proud supporter of FAU athletics. Earn up to $700 per year with boost checking from Flagler Credit Union. Number 1.
We start in the NBA, but not the game that happened last night. The Pacers, remember they came back to beat the Cavs 2 days ago? They now lead the series 2-0. The NBA, however, is none too pleased with the Tyrese Halliburton dance that followed his Game 2 game winner. You know the dance, the cojones, carrying something heavy in your groin. The NBA didn't like it. They did not fine him. However, they gave him a warning. Do you have any problem with, braggadocious, really loud and crazy celebrations? Do you have a problem with the NBA threatening fines for said celebrations?
I don't understand why you threaten it. Either you're going to fine him or just leave it alone.
Agreed.
I don't know why you make it a whole warning system, because if you have a warning system, it's the most fraudulent system in the history of systems, because every sports league is guilty of it. The nitpicky things that they will give these guys penalties for financially would be terrible. It's terrible. There's no principle. There's no standard that's set. There's no floor. So if that is a big problem or it's not a big problem, there's no standard that you're going to be able to maintain. Just don't leave it alone or punish him.
With Colin, you take a stand. You pick a side or you don't do anything at all, don't say anything at all. I have no problem with him doing that, by the way. He earned every right to do that. I'm not going to get baited into... remember what I said about the score table thing? I had a problem with that. That kid could do whatever he wants. I trade Evan Mobley and Garland for him tomorrow.
Number 2.
to the other stunner that happened last night. Following New York's Game 2 win and their Game 1 win, well, Knicks fans will have to pay a pretty penny in order to root for their team when they return to Madison Square Garden. TickPick announced that the get-in price for Knicks-Celtics Game 3 is the most expensive get-in ticket in Knicks history at $706. Is it worth it?
Worth it? For me, I probably wouldn't, but I understand it. That's one of the biggest games Madison Square Garden has had on the basketball side of things in quite some time, especially on the Knicks. They haven't had a series with the implications that are riding with that Celtics series. They haven't had that in 20 years. That's how important that series is, because all of a sudden everything becomes possible if you're able to close out the Celtics.
Does this not sound like the all-time choke job, though? $706 to watch a basketball game?
Yeah, I think it's especially in the second round. I agree. The one problem I have, why is that game at 3:30? That game is at 3:30 p.m. on a Saturday. That is stupid. That should be a nighttime New York City Madison Square Garden game, and it's not.
Well, I guess that it's a weekend game, right?
Yes, it's Saturday.
That contributes to how expensive the game is, because everyone can make it.
True, but I'm just talking about from the timing perspective of getting the fan, not even getting the fan there, but to invigorate the city. You got New York City sitting right there. How do you make it a night game? How do you make it a 7 p.m. tip? Now, the problem is they got Warriors T-Wolves on Saturday night as well, and they're not going to make the Warriors T-Wolves the early slot game because the Warriors T-Wolves play on Thursday, comparably the Knicks playing Wednesday. So they're not going to give the Warriors a day rest in between the games and then have them play the early slot. That's just not the right way to do it. But, I mean, if there was some maneuverability, give the Warriors 2 days off, let the Knicks have that night game. I don't know why they're doing it at 3:30. That's a classic nighttime MSG game.
It's a more sellable game for sure. And Colin and I talk all the time, like, sports should be tailored to the Eastern Coast fan. I like it. Listen, granted, did I grow up in the Eastern time zone for, like, 28 years of my life? I did 3 years in Central. Yeah, I did. But at the same time, all the eyes are coming from the East Coast. It's time to start bowing down to us a little bit, all right? Make that thing at 7 o'clock.
It's just like, think about the energy of the building. It's going to be great at 3:30, but it's an afternoon game. That game should be a 7 p.m., 7:30 tip at MSG, live and in the flesh with all the New Yorkers there.
It's Saturday. We live in Florida. We're all doing things. I agree. We're all doing stuff 3:30 on a Saturday, man.
I don't get
who's got time to sit down and watch a game at 3:30 on a Saturday?
$706 feels ridiculous.
Because it is ridiculous.
I got World Series tickets for what I remember to be like just a little over $1,000 at Yankee Stadium this year.
Are you
for the first World Series in 15 years?
So Colin calls me a sucker for having YouTube Premium and YouTube TV. Are you a sucker if you spent $706 on a Knick ticket?
Yeah, you're stupid.
I agree.
Spend a little bit more money on a later round game, and maybe tickets balloon to where they're unaffordable when they are $2,000 and affordable at $700.
The one thing I'll say is this is the Knicks. This is their Super Bowl.
It is.
Beating Boston was the circled matchup on the schedule. This is why they traded Julius Randle and DiVincenzo. They did it so they could match up with Boston better than they had last year.
Yep.
So this is I'll say it, as important of a game as MSG has seen in years, better part of a decade. Off of that, I understand it, but you're right. It's an early round. There's not a clinch scenario. There's not a knockout scenario. It's a chance to go up 3-0, but if you go up 3-0, the series is over.
So 2 things. This screams like the Knicks are going to choke these 2 games at home. And lastly, on the tickets, you're pricing the fan you want there out, in my opinion.
Well, they've been doing that at MSG for years.
Agreed. But you're pricing the fan that you want at these games, your ultimate super fan, out of the game. I got a real problem with that.
Number 3.
Go to college football, where Nick Saban, in coaching retirement, he's staying pretty busy. Of course, you see him on ESPN's College Game Day in the fall. But he's also going to get into politics. Saban's going to co-chair President Trump's Commission on College Sports. It's going to examine issues like NIL payments, conference realignment. My question for you boys is, if you could change one specific thing about college sports right now, specifically, what would you do?
I think the number one thing I would do is make it a 2-year minimum you have to be at a school.
A 2-year minute. If there was one thing, only one thing that I could alter, this would be for all college athletics. If you wanted to transfer to a school or start at school, you got to be there for 2 years. You got to be there for 2 years, and that could include a redshirt year. So fine. You want to save a year of eligibility, but you make a decision to go to a school, you got to be there.
Even if that coach that was in your living room sold himself on the program, that's who you bought into, but now he's gone?
I would say that would be similar to how it was previously. That would be the exception.
There are always exceptions.
That would be the exception. If a coach gets fired, that's an exception.
Let's be completely honest. There are always exceptions. But Kyle stole my thunder here. As an Ohio State fan, please let NIL continue to run rampant. I love spending $40 million and being in the national championship conversation every year. Do I know it's a problem? Absolutely. Should it be the number one thing we need to fix? Absolutely. But I am biased. I want my team to continue to win because I have the assets to win. So I will agree with Colin here. Yeah, 2 years, bro. If you sign up to go somewhere, you can't just pack up and leave like Thomas Castellanos, the new quarterback from Florida State. All right?
That would be my fix. And I don't know, what does the federal government plan on doing?
Because, they fix everything, right?
What's the plan? I mean, I agree with getting Saban involved. If there's anybody to do it who understands it, I'm okay with that. But I don't really know what the federal government really is planning here.
Well, I guess the problem is there's no commissioner of college football. There's no commissioner of college sports, really. So no one's calling the shots.
And you're at the mercy of the different commissioner, as the SEC, the Big Ten commissioners, all the different commissioners who have their own ideas.
And they have more power. So the two people that have the most power in the NCAA is the SEC commissioner, forgive me, I don't know his name.
Greg Sankey.
And the Big Ten commissioner, Kyle, help me out.
Tony Petitti.
So those two guys who are leaders of the most powerful conference to generate the most money, they are the most powerful men in the sport. The NCAA that is supposed to govern them has absolutely no power and cannot win a court case. Very strange leadership structure. Very strange.
Number 4.
Tom Brady went on the Impulsive podcast. You guys familiar with the Impulsive podcast?
I am not familiar with the Impulsive podcast. Colin?
It's Logan Paul's, right?
Yeah, there he is, right on the money.
I know Logan Paul. He's a Cleveland kid.
Sure is. He's also a WWE wrestler. How about that?
He is. Saw him on Raw. He was going after Jey Uso.
Well, now,
2 weeks ago, baby.
He's also a Tom Brady interviewer.
Okay.
Tom Brady was talking about Shedeur Sanders, talking about him falling in the draft, and apparently Tom Brady texted Shedeur Sanders saying, use it as motivation. Perfect source. Brady went 199, Shedeur went 144. Now, Tom Brady, as the standard of a guy who got drafted late, the immediate guy that comes to mind with success story, how that can go right. What does a successful Shedeur Sanders career look like when we look back on it in 2060?
A second contract with Cleveland, I think, would be an insurmounting success. A confident second contract that they are happy about, that they play through. 2 contracts, I think they'd be okay with that. I think that would be a success on his career. I think that would be a success with his tenure in Cleveland.
Christian, do you want me to dream or do you want me to be a realist here?
I want you to be a realist.
Okay, being a realist, what I'm hearing in Cleveland is that some people are saying that follow the team, cover the team, is that he's not even being a serious conversation for the number 1 quarterback. And they got him.
They haven't seen the guy play yet. They haven't seen the guy play yet.
Hang on. And they got him as some sort of trade piece for a team that might need a quarterback later on in the season. Now, I tend to disagree with this. I think they drafted him to give him to a shot at least. I think it's ridiculous to think that he's just a chess piece on a board. Granted, you got to realize the Browns run things like in a Microsoft Excel sheet. So I'm not putting it out of the realm that this isn't true. But at the same time, I think Shedeur is going to surprise them, and I tend to agree with Colin. If he gets his second contract with Cleveland, that means 10 games, starting a playoff game. I can't promise that they're going to win a playoff game because expectations are kind of, lowered in Cleveland. But from what I'm hearing early on with Shedeur out of Cleveland is that they're not even considering him to be a starter.
Well, one thing is he's a 5th-round pick, and he's not going to walk in the building saying we got our starter. They would have drafted him in the first round if that was the case.
Exactly.
So there's no surprise there. I just think he's going to get a fighter shot. He's going to get a fighter shot as good as anybody.
More of an asset than being considered a starter, as weird as that sounds.
He will get an opportunity if they lose games early.
I'm not allowed to dream?
A dream for 10 seconds.
2 Super Bowls, Browns into relevance.
All right, move on.
That was only
Number
3.
4.
We're on number 5.
Number 5.
Speaking of Shedeur Sanders, a disgruntled Colorado football fan has filed a $100 million lawsuit against the NFL over Shedeur Sanders' slide in the 2025 NFL Draft. This John Doe has apparently suffered emotional distress and trauma as a fan and a consumer. My question for you, Mike Rizzo, and you, Colin Russo, is what sports occurrence would you file a lawsuit for $100 million in damages in your lifetime?
So is this going to be like a class action? So does like Mike get some of the assets if they're able to get any money out of this because of he's a Cleveland Brown fan and the distress surrounding it?
You spread it around and you end up with like $30.
I got one. And listen, I want to get this out of the way. I love the Guardians. This is theoretical. Obviously, I'm not suing anybody. I'm not going to be that loser. Guys, 2016 was the hardest loss I've ever suffered in my entire life. I don't think anything will ever come close to it. I told you guys I'd rather have the Rajay Davis home run never happen. I wish it never happened.
But you'll never have those 30 minutes left.
Because we lost the game. And it's the second time my team has lost in a Game 7 in a World Series. And I was actually old enough this time. I was 3 years old during that run. Granted, I was at playoff games as a baby, but I don't remember anything in 97. But 16, man, I was a senior at Ohio University. It was our favorite time ever in college. We'd go out every single Guardians game. We had our crew, and it was a great time. Dude, that loss, guys, I wasn't right for months. And at that time, you're a senior in college, man. You're living with your teams. Like, now, Christian, I got bills. Like, I'm in the real world now. I was in my fantasy land still, bro. Like, that was everything to me. You guys know how much I love baseball. I finally thought we were getting a World Series. 1948. If anything, I would sadly and reluctantly have to sue the Guardians and the Dolan family because that was tough. That was tough,
Did
man.
it feel worse that it was two downtrodden fan bases?
Yeah,
so it was almost
Cubs.
like you were the forgotten child.
And here's the worst part. I grew up kind of rooting. I don't have second teams. You guys know I don't do this. My grandfather would babysit us, my pappy, my dad's dad, who is in the business like us. We would watch, he loved baseball. We would watch WGN, the Friday games. We would always be over there on Friday. The Cubbies, when they played at home, they were always the day game. I grew up being a fan of Alfonso Soriano, Derek Lee, Carlos Zambrano. I liked the Cubs. So I felt extra guilty that the damn Cubs were the team to do this to the Guardians because I kind of grew up being a Cubby fan as well. It sucked, and they're cursed. We lost to the most cursed team in sports history.
Colin, what would you sue someone, something, a team, an organization for $100 million in damages? Emotional damages.
I was thinking good karma, Brent, but I don't really have a reason. I don't really have a reason.
Wait, you just want to sue your employer just because?
Just give Steve Politziner a fit. That would be fun.
You want to give him paperwork?
Yeah. You give him what are you serving? You got served or whatever.
And do you want to know what Colin's going to put after he's done reading everything? Colin's going to put at the bottom, P.S. Did you watch the Knicks go up 2 games to 0?
I should text him about the Knicks game, by the way.
So you're not
Wisconsin-Madison would be a good one.
I'm going to say because you kind of pride yourself on not being too overly to a fault invested in the teams that you root for.
Christian,
so no one's ruined your life?
I figured it out. It's Wisconsin because for everything he's told me, Colin picked his school based off of sports he'd be able to cover. Okay, fair play. But he knew he was going to be in media. You know, he knew he wanted to go into broadcasting. He picked his school based off of sports success. Wisconsin was terrible when he went. And as far as a big-time program that they were before he went there, going to Final Fours, having a respectable football program under Brett Bielema, who's going to be a top 10 team with Illinois this year. Anyway, Kyle really, how many did you ever go to a significant bowl game? Did you ever see a good tournament?
Do you count the Guaranteed Rate Bowl?
Absolutely not.
Do you count the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
Absolutely not. And then, no, God, no, stop it. A New Year's Six Bowl?
No.
Okay, never went to a New Year's Six Bowl. How far did you go in the NCAA?
They haven't made it out of the first weekend since 2016.
Yeah, so that's his gripe right there. That's his gripe.
4 years of promises unfulfilled.
I mean, they stink in sports. And unlike most Wisconsin fans and people from that state tend to be on the optimist side because they got the Packers and the Brewers sitting right there. But I was pretty obvious. I thought that where this was all heading And 2 years into it, there's a little, when Luke Fickell was hired, there's a little bit of buzz. But once you saw what they were, this team stinks. And that's the bottom line. Nothing's going to change. And
you saw Paul Chryst blow that Big Ten championship, and you still went there.
Yeah, that's right. I did. Well, it's also a good school, so I got in because it was a good academic institution as well. But yes.
So poor Kyle, man.
I mean, like, I don't need
honestly,
a pity party. Like, I still enjoy college sports regardless. So I don't need Wisconsin
Colin,
to be good in order for me to enjoy the season.
Can you imagine the realist that Colin is, and knowing how Colin operates when a team stinks? Can you imagine tuning into that pregame? What did you run?
I ran the ESPN Wisconsin.
Oh my God.
Pregame.
He was
postgame.
It was your nickname, Negative Ned.
I told him, I'm like,
driving in, excited to go to the game.
They're going.
I called into that show on the second game of the season. They were playing, I want to say like Idaho or something like that. And I called in and I said they were going to lose 21-17, and they definitely weren't going to cover when the spread was like minus 20.5. And all the hosts of ESPN Wisconsin College Game Day, the ones who replaced me, were crestfallen with the idea that they wouldn't cover. And they ended up winning the game like narrowly by like 3 points.
Yeah,
didn't cover. I said, these teams stinks. Guys, we're looking at the same players from last year. They didn't make any changes, and all of a sudden they're terrible. And I remember after the Northwestern game, all those phony optimists where I called into the show too. Phony optimists were talking about how great, because they beat Northwestern and they beat Rutgers. They beat Northwestern, they're jumping in the river. And they're talking about how great it's going to be because they got Penn State coming up. And on all that, and I said, guys, time out. Can something happen of significance other than beating Northwestern and beating Rutgers? So that's why
they wanted to have fun. I don't blame them, but I understand where you're coming from too. So Kyle called into his former show. Guys, I called into my former radio station, ESPN Cleveland, after the Cavs lost, and I wanted to talk to Hammer and my buddy Kevin Arnold. So Kev was going through it. People were going after him on the YouTube line or whatever. So the first thing I lead off with on the show is, Kev, don't worry about that YouTube chat. Say it with me. The Buckeyes are national champions. And once Hammer found out it was me, he ran me. That was the first time in my life that I've ever been ran on a radio show. And I called in like, hey, Mike in Florida. They had no idea that it was me. And they ran, and Aaron ran me. I had a real issue with getting ran. I wanted to complain about the Cavs. I wanted to talk about the game. I wanted to maybe show a little optimism. I didn't even get a chance to take my take.
I
waited on hold.
So they
for
hung
8
up
minutes.
on you after you said that.
I'm waiting for the word ran.
Yeah.
They dropped you.
They dropped
Sorry.
you.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'm wrong and you're wrong.
Sorry,
okay.
I call it ran. They ran me.
So
they ran
they
me
hung
on
up
air.
on you.
Yeah. Because I called in. Everyone's spirits were down. I had a lot of energy. I said, guys, what's going on? First off, I thought they'd recognize my voice immediately. They didn't recognize my voice. Aaron did 100 shows with me. And then I go, Kev, don't worry about the YouTube chat, man. Say it with me. The Buckeyes are national champions. And
how'd that feel?
Oh, it felt amazing. And then,
well, how'd it feel to get dropped?
Oh, dude, miserable.
Oh, okay.
I'm very angry at Aaron. I have not forgiven Aaron Goldhammer for dropping me on the air. I was very disrespected on that. I wanted to talk Halliburton. I wanted to talk blowing a 7-point lead in 40 seconds. I didn't even get a chance.
Well, that Cleveland radio host that you're referring to, me and Theo spent about 25 minutes on our show, like lambasting him and killing him for being sensitive as a Cleveland fan. So he has right to kind of dislike the station, I'll be honest.
You think it was because of you two?
I mean, we kind of burned a bridge there.
Okay.
Guys, Aaron has been doing a show with my dad for the better half of 20 years.
Hey, you're a West Palm guy now.
True.
You're going to ride or die with us.
True. Oh, my God, no doubt.
Okay.
But I am very upset that he didn't even give me a chance to say anything.
Why'd you call
about
back?
The game. I was pissed. Excuse me. I was mad at Aaron. Honestly, I said I wanted to block.
I'm not blessing his station with my voice.
Aaron, I wanted to block his number. I was very upset. Honest to God, I don't get upset about a lot of things, boys. I was really upset that I didn't even get a chance to talk with those guys anything Cavs remotely. Very upset.
You leave callers on for 25 minutes if you didn't have a drop.
I would never drop Aaron on this show. I would, if Aaron called in, he was randomly listening and wanted to chime in on something, you think we drop him immediately? That's Bush League. That's amateur hour, man. That's amateur
hour. You feel
hour.
better?
Well, I mean, if you weren't bringing
a little bit.
If you weren't bringing it, you weren't on topic.
Maybe your call stunk.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Actually. Christian
if someone calls in, wants to talk Texas Rangers, they're going to drop them. They weren't talking Buckeyes.
I was trying to cheer up a fellow GKB teammate, Kevin Arnold, and hopefully get into what happened in the debacle with the Cavs. I didn't even get the option.
That's what the YouTube chat's for.
I'm not some peon.
Oh, wow.
I'm a coworker. I'm a
Careful.
coworker.
Tell us how you really feel about Brendan Wheeler, about Sam Plank,
They understand.
about Ryan
I didn't mean it like that. Stop turning it into that.
All right.
I mean, how do you?
Wow, Mike, you're upset how Aaron Goldhammer treats his fans. How do you treat your fans?
Woo!
Okay.
Wow, a little hypocritical from that side of the table.
The word was peon.
Peons.
Peons.
You never heard that before?
A little hypocrisy. From
What
that
I'm
side
hearing
of
is
the table.
peasant.
It's a bit, but the YouTube chat,
hate him. I know.
No,
It's all
I
right.
don't.
It's all right.
I didn't mean
if
it.
you could dump them all, you would.
I'm
Mike
not,
Rizzo, Colin
I'm not
Russo,
the.
Christian
How about this?
Cat.
Last thing. I'm not the average listener. That's what peons basically is. An average
Again,
listener.
dude, I don't think that helps.
So patronizing. This is the most Mr. Patronizing.
I don't think that helps at all.
Mike has been so patronizing today in general. He walks in. We have an intern on her last day. He goes, "You're watching baseball? Oh, wow, good for you. Working at ESPN West Palm. I think it's expected to watch some sports."
I guess maybe. I don't know. I was shocked to see baseball.
Mike comes in on his white horse, and when they don't roll out the red carpet, big problem. Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo.
I had a real
Christian
issue
Cat.
with that.
Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The playoffs are in full swing, and you can get in on all the action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest game-changing moments to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code JOEQ, J-O-E-Q, to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
I'm Mark Anajar. I'm Glenn Levine. I'm Ellie Anajar. Together, we're Anajar and Levine, and our team is a triple threat to big insurance companies.
Don't settle with the insurance companies for a fraction of what your case is worth. We'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve.
That's the Anajar and Levine difference. Get your free case review right now. We'll help you take back control of your life. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
In office, West Palm Beach.
This Mother's Day, give Mom a gift with endless possibilities. Give her a gift card to the Breakers Palm Beach. The Breakers gift card lets you treat Mom to all the things she loves, like irresistible oceanfront getaways, lessons at the Breakers' new golf and racket club, pampering at the exquisite spa, and shopping at the resort's stylish collection of boutiques. Gift cards may also be used for dining at the Breakers' renowned restaurants and bars, including Echo, Henry's Palm Beach, HMF, and Flagler Steakhouse. And now, for a limited time, when you purchase a $500 gift card online at thebreakers.com, you'll receive an additional $50 on that card, compliments of the Breakers. You can never repay Mom for all she's done, but a gift card to the Breakers Palm Beach is a great way to start. Visit thebreakers.com today.
Tired of being sidelined by a sports injury? Get back in the game with Baptist Health Orthopedic Care. Whether you're a professional athlete or even a weekend warrior, you can get back to doing what you love with our compassionate orthopedic team. Experience a new level of care and get back to your best. Welcome to being treated like a pro. Make an appointment today at baptisthealth.net/ortho or call 833-556-6764.
Introducing DQ Grill and Chill's new sauced and tossed buffalo chicken strips. A basket of 100% all white meat seasoned chicken strips now being served with blue cheese or ranch dressing dips. The blizzard of the month is s'mores and mixing bowl mashup. Fresh cookie dough bites and brownie batter for a unique sweet treat. Don't forget a DQ Grill and Chill cake this season. Stop in and pick one up or get a custom order. DQ Grill and Chill with 2 locations, 4828 Lake Worth Road and US 1 just south of North Lake.
Hi, Kevin Dalton here from the Unlimited Auto Wash Clubs. Time to start getting your ride ready for summer. Stop by the Unlimited Auto Wash Clubs and try out one of our best wash packages, the Ultimate Plus. It gives you everything your car needs, inside and out, including our ceramic graphene coating. Or try one of our unlimited monthly plans, starting as low as $34.95 a month, or with inside and out plus tire shine starting as low as $49.95 a month. Visit any one of our 6 convenient locations or call 561-WASH-ME-TOO.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. 33 after the hour, May 8th, 2025. Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat. Got a little Game 2 action between the Warriors and the Timberwolves tonight. No Steph Curry. In Minnesota still. Now, there was a tale of 2 different types of games. How does a top team in the league respond after a tough Game 1 loss? You could respond like the Celtics did and do a whole lot of the same. Literally the exact same to a T. Blowing a 20-point lead, can't score at the end of the game, no closer. Or you could operate like the Thunder, who at the beginning of the game, they scored 40 points in the first quarter. They blew them out of the water from the get-go. They played as efficient of a basketball game as I think anybody has ever played in the postseason. They scored 149 points. And as a team, they shot above 50% from the field, above 40% from 3, and above 90% from the free throw line. They had 36 free throws. As complete of a game. So those are the 2 tales of how higher-seeded teams respond after an opening home loss. What side of these do you think the T-Wolves will fall on tonight? I think they will fall. We're going to see a little bit more of the Thunder and how they respond in Minnesota tonight comparatively to Boston.
I took the same line for the Celtics. If you remember, I took the same line last night at minus 10.5.
Yeah.
And I got burned. But I do think that this is going to be a case where Anthony Edwards will show up. The Warriors will feel it without Steph Curry. Now, there could be a scenario where Kerr figured something out in Game 1. He knows the buttons he needs to press, if it's the Kumingas, if it's some of the other role players that came up.
Giving them problems.
I mean, listen, Kerr is a Hall of Fame coach. I call him a top 5 coach of all time. I still stand by that. So maybe he did figure something out. Jimmy Butler could go playoff Jimmy. I waxed poetically earlier in the show about how much Draymond looks like 2015, 2016 Draymond rather than 2025 Draymond. But I lean towards the Timberwolves. They have to win this game. Like, I know little contradicting for me to say that, Colin, because I still believe in the Celtics and the Cavs to win their series. But I think if they fall 0-2 to the Warriors and then have to go to Golden State, all of a sudden, Colin, the Warriors start playing, we could wait till Steph comes back. You know what I'm saying?
They're going to want to avoid that at all costs. But they don't want to deal with a Game 6. You're going to have to rush Curry back, even if he's not healthy.
Hear me out. At the same time, Golden State, we went up 2-0 without Curry. You know what that does for a locker room? And when Steph actually comes back, this could be a 5-game series Warriors favor if they win tonight.
Similar to what blowing a 7-point lead in 47 seconds does to a locker room, doesn't it?
Well, street clothes Garland, street clothes Hunter, and street clothes Mobley didn't play and had to listen all week how soft they are and how they're just collecting checks. So they're going to show up in a big way.
You got to hope that.
They're going to show up. They heard all week how soft they are and how they don't care about basketball.
That Game 2 is until tomorrow.
But Game 3, but yes, you're right.
Game 3. If I had to put money on anything, I would say Minnesota's going to win this game big. I do not think, though, maybe I'm drinking the same potion that I did with the Celtics. I thought the Celtics would win pretty handily after Game 1, and they didn't. But, maybe they play another hard-fought in the 90s, great small ball defense, go 10-12 deep if you're the Warriors. They've done a great job utilizing their bench. Buddy Hield has been a big asset for them in terms of three-point shot making. if he's able to put together another 30-point performance and you get something out of Jimmy Butler, I mean, they could be right in this game. So maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think they're just a little too much firepower you're going to have to make up without Steph Curry. The gravity of him not on the floor, I think, is going to be felt quite a bit. I would take Minnesota tonight.
What about Butler, though? Can Butler do his playoff Jimmy?
I think Butler is better, weirdly enough, situationally, because Curry occupies so much attention. Curry is probably, for defenses in the NBA, I don't know if there's one person in the entire league that occupies more attention than what Curry is doing at any point offensively.
Especially coming off screen. Steve Kerr is such a brilliant mastermind of getting him the ball.
If you're Jokic, you get your big guy on him and then figure out the double when he gets the ball. But Curry, you got to figure out your switches. He occupies the most attention out of any star in the league. So I think figuring out Jimmy Butler is going to take that attention now, and Minnesota's got very good perimeter defenders at that. So they're going to be giving him problems, and they're going to throw a bunch of different looks at him. And Finch is a good coach, so because of that, I think Finch utilizes his rotations well, and as long as they shoot pretty well, I think they're going to win easy.
I think the storyline heading into this is how does Anthony Edwards handle a little tough love from Coach Finch,
and I think he handles that well because I think Finch is a very good coach.
I think he believes in him. I do. I think but they're on the same token. Maybe it was the wrong way to go about it. That's why I can't wait to watch it tonight. Like, if Ant comes out and struggles like the Dickens, like he did in the first half,
nothing he could say.
Game's wide open.
But then there's nothing he could say.
Right, but
what are you going to say to Coach if you keep stinking up in a big game when we're paying you $300 million?
But, the response, right? Is he going to respond well?
I think he will. I think the T-Wolves will respond well. They're deep. They got a lot of guys they could go to. And Finch, I think, is very crafty off a loss, especially with his rotations. A couple guys, you're going to see some DiVincenzo here. They're going to get creative. I really do think that.
And Dante struggled. He struggled in that game too. I mean, basically everyone did. I mean, everyone struggled. They scored 88. They scored 88 points.
Awful game. I would take the Minnesota Timberwolves to win big. Toronto Maple Leafs, I give a lot of credit to. They were able to hold off a final push out of the Florida Panthers. They moved to winning both their games in their building, going back down to Florida. And Florida down 2-0 after 20 of 23. ESPN analysts had Florida Panthers winning in about 6 games. We're going to close out the program a little bit next. Stick around for it. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat, Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. This is ESPN 106.3.
Hi. This is Scott Smith with Smith Ball Baez and Prather, Florida Injury Lawyers. We are a Florida civil trial law firm that specializes in the areas of personal injury and wrongful death. Our offices are located in Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie. Our lawyers have litigated thousands of matters at the Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River County courthouses. Our lawyers, paralegals, and other numerous members of our legal team live in Palm Beach County and Treasure Coast cities and towns such as West Palm Beach, Port St. Lucie, Lake Worth, Palm Beach Gardens, Palm City, Jupiter, and others just like you and your families. We are a statewide recognized law firm, but it is your community and your families that we live and associate with on a daily basis. Our most satisfying achievement is when we know that our legal power has helped a fellow member of our Palm Beach County and Treasure Coast community secure a fair and just huge result. If you've been injured, the lawyers at Smith Ball Baez and Prather will help. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. With Smith Ball Baez and Prather, help is just a local phone call away. Offices Palm Beach Gardens, Boca Raton, and Port St. Lucie.
This is ESPN 106.3, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Find official rules for all your favorite ESPN West Palm contests by visiting ESPNWestPalmContests.com. That's ESPNWestPalmContests.com. You're listening to ESPN 106.3, the ESPN app, and streaming on your smart speaker.
Let's get back to the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. This is Russo and Rizzo on ESPN 106.3.
Russo and Rizzo, ESPN 106.3. Colin Russo, Mike Rizzo, Christian Cat. ESPN 106.3. May 8th, a Thursday edition of the program, 2025. Do the Celtics blow this up in a sense, or not blow it up? Change it up if they lose this series to the Knicks?
I don't think so. It's still you're still 2 years off of winning a championship.
Not to blow it up but to change things up, to retool.
I mean,
similar to what the Lakers always do. The Celtics are in the same boat.
I don't think they get rid. So blowing it up to me means they're going to get rid of Brown or Tatum. I don't think that happens. Could they go after? Could they get rid of Drew Holiday and go after a bigger star? Sure, absolutely. But I know where your mind's at. You're thinking Giannis level. You're thinking Antetokounmpo, possibly to Boston. You're thinking maybe a Kevin Durant, possibly to Boston, to really put them over the edge.
Probably not Durant, but I don't think Boston is a team that is afraid of changing things up, especially if it looks weird. I don't think it'd be the hardest thing. They got too many guys right now that they're going to have to figure out how to pay. I don't think turning two guys into one would be the worst thing in the world.
Let's stay on that real quick. Who? Pritchard? Okay, let's go down
Pritchard,
the line.
Holiday, White, Brown, Tatum, Porzingis.
Fair.
Horford. Yeah, and then everybody else. You're not going to move Cornette. But those guys, I mean, that's a lot of guys right there that are going to deserve at least into the millions on contracts eventually.
You'd think the untouchables would be the two in Tatum and Brown. Now,
if Giannis is available and they say we want Jason Tatum, do you listen?
Tatum, so it would be in a sense Giannis and Jaylen Brown as your kind of go-to guys. I'd listen, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd have to.
have. I mean, with how
you
the game
talk about
ended.
Teams that are uniquely equipped to have the assets to make a move like that. I'm not just saying they should. I'm just saying I'd be surprised if the Celtics didn't listen.
I cannot believe how bad that final play was from Tatum. How do you not get a shot off? How do you go full on indecisive? I'm going to try to.
He lost the ball.
There's a second left. Kyle, there wasn't even a chance to make a pass.
I know.
That's my issue.
He was going left. He lost the ball for a half a second. The one thing about Tatum is he's remarkably unimpressive. He's remarkably unimpressive. For a guy who is a top-tier star, Steve Kerr was on to something when he didn't play him on that Olympic.
He takes terrible shots, too.
It's just he matchup punts, and then he takes the ball. Listen, I know he's a Celtic through and through. I know he's been there since he was drafted. I know they've had a lot of highs with them, but the Celtics are unafraid to show their guns. They're unafraid to do that. Similar to how the Lakers do, that's how good teams stay good, is they're not willing. The Chiefs operate like this. They're not afraid to change things up if they have to. The Patriots made a living off of it. If all of a sudden they lose in dramatic fashion to the Knicks because of lack of downhill scoring and somebody out of Milwaukee becomes available who is the downhill scorer, I don't think that's the craziest thing in the world. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Why wouldn't they call? I don't know if Tatum would like it. Tatum, you want Tatum and Pritchard, and you give us Giannis and a pick. They saying no? I don't know if they do.
Jason Tatum, a guy who historically put up some of the worst numbers in his first ever NBA Finals. In the Eastern Conference semifinals, the 2 games against the Knicks, he's shooting 28% from the field and 25% from 3. Colin, this is supposed to be a top 10 player in the NBA. This is supposed to be the guy that's going to put you over the edge late in these games. They got to start looking at Brown. Give Brown a look late in the game. God forbid you give Jaylen Brown, the MVP of the NBA Finals last year, a look at the end of the game. I am listening. If Giannis is available, to answer your question again, if Giannis is available and it costs Jason Tatum, I wouldn't bat an eye. Take him. Give me the 7-foot unicorn that nobody can match up well with. Now, late in the game, are you going to Giannis for a 3? Are you going? That's the question.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Giannis, this guy's a top 5 player in basketball. Easy.
But you get what I'm saying.
Bar none.
Do you get what I'm saying? Late in the game, it's tough to go to the Joker late in the game when you need a 3. It's tough to go to a guy who's not consistently banging 3.
The Celtics have nobody to go to now. Hold on. So I don't know what you're trying to say. They got nobody to go to right now.
Go to Brown. Get the kid a look.
Oh my God! It's not even about.
The point I'm trying to make is you get Giannis, and your late game guy is Jaylen Brown.
I mean, Yeah, that's X's and O's. I mean, I'm just saying, consider making the move. That's what I will do.
You think they could have used a late game guy last night though?
Well, he was on the floor. Nobody made a shot. Nobody made a shot.
For 8 minutes, he scored 6 points. This guy's shooting 28% from the field. He's supposed to be a top 10 player.
I know, remarkably unimpressive. And this is somebody who has a very long playoff career. Now, we might change our tune here. The Celtics storm back, win 4 straight, win the series.
I think they will win the series, but it doesn't take away the fact that Tatum in a big spot is bad. It's bad.
He's a little unreliable. That's it. And it's weird. He's remarkably unimpressive in a big spot.
And it dates back years to how bad he bottled the NBA Finals against Steph Curry.
Well, I mean, hold on. He's had one thing you got to give him credit for is he's had big moments. Like, coming off a loss, too, he had 51 points in a Game 7 against Philadelphia. Like, we can't knock him every step of the way. He had a good game in 2018 against LeBron. Like, you can't knock him every step of the way. But the one thing I'll say is late game, 26-year-old who's on a max contract who is supposed to be your guy, and he doesn't even look like he wants the basketball. And the Celtics have no idea who they want to go to as a closer. That was the difference in the game. It was not a difference in the talent level. It's not a difference. I don't think, sure, they had the legs. People want to talk about that. Fine. Yeah, the Celtics maybe had the Knicks had maybe a little bit more energy, but it was more about the Celtics don't have somebody that closes games consistently.
You mentioned multiple times, Colin, in the college. I'm going to do a little correlation between college and pros here. You mentioned that Duke never has plans at the end of the game for a big shot. They go to their young freshmen to rely on them to make a star, and all hell breaks loose. Is that not what happened last night? Is that not what happened with Boston in a big spot?
Well, the thing is, you could get away with it with NBA players. But yes.
I don't mind. Everyone's all over Missoula today for not calling a timeout. Colin, there was like 15 seconds left when he inbounded the ball. I'm completely fine with Missoula not calling a timeout.
Well, hold on.
You want to rely on your multi-million
But when this wasn't going anywhere, you had a timeout. So you did have one. So you could have used one. All of a sudden, 8 seconds in, I don't like where this is going.
You're relying on your 27-year-old on a max to go make a play. And that's the shot you end up taking. I blame the player more than the coach there. You got to you got to pick your favorite spot on the court and try to get there. Not go to the coffin corner, get double teamed by a 7-footer, and make a pass with half a second.
And this is
left.
Tatum, same guy who was up 86-79 with 3 minutes to go, had a wide open 3 in the corner and completely clanked it. That was probably a close away 3 right there. They got looks. They just can't close a game. And why do I blame Missoula? Because he's not giving them opportunities to get different looks outside of self-made baskets at the end.
It worked last year. To Missoula's credit, I'm going to defend Missoula a little bit here. You won a championship doing this stuff last year. This is who they are. Kyle, this is who they are. They shoot 100 threes in 2 games.
First of all, it got worse from last year to this year statistically. They shoot more threes than they did last year by a substantial margin.
But you understand.
But number 2, they were never challenged last year. The Pacers gave them the best punch, and they were able to close games, but that was more the Pacers blowing games. That inbound steal in Game 1 of last year in the conference. It was more about the Pacers blowing games than it was about the Celtics sealing it. But I understand both sides. I do. The one thing I'll say is you have to be adaptable, and he is somebody who has his plan, and hell or high water will stick to that plan, and that plan is shooting threes. The high percentage basket. Well, you're not doing it. Just try something else. Go to the basket. So that's why, listen, if they lose this series to a team that was tailor-made to compete with Boston and was not afraid to get rid of Julius Randle and was not afraid to go make a move for Karl Anthony Towns just to cater to build off of a matchup, you're damn right I think the Celtics would change something up. I do. If the Knicks are able to close them out, and you can't say that's too far-fetched because they're up 2-0 with 2 home games to go.
Oh, it's just so New York to lose these next 2 games, man. I'm praying on it, too. I want to see this go 7. I'm praying on a 7-game series.
If they go 3-1, you're banking on a 3-1 comeback for the Celtics?
No, they got to win both.
They got to win both. They got to win both in Madison Square Garden.
Both teams in the Eastern Conference must win both, and I think both teams are fully capable of winning 2 games on the road.
Game 3 is going to be big. You got to win both. 3-1 series, it's probably too much to ask for against 2 pretty good teams that are desperate for a big series win. Desperate for a big upset.
I flipped my tune from yesterday. I was doomsday with the Cavs yesterday, Kyle. Once I saw Boston lose, I got right back in the saddle.
So why does Boston losing have anything to do with Cleveland?
Because we're destined for a Cleveland-Boston Eastern Conference Final.
What do you mean destined?
That's the best matchup.
If anything, just because it's a good matchup, but it's destined. Destined by who?
Destined. They're the two best teams all year.
Well, how have they played the last 48 hours?
It's been bad. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's been bad.
You want to talk about a team at destiny? I mean, it might be Indiana. Might be New York.
Indiana makes sense.
Those are teams that haven't been to a finals. You want to talk about destiny. Those are the two teams that are desperate for a big run.
The Halliburton, really makes you feel like they are a team of destiny. But I think like I said, man, they heard all week how soft they were, Kyle. Boston's going to hear for the next 3 days how they're cooked, how they can't shoot. They need to switch. Missoula doesn't know what he's doing. Should have called timeout.
They heard that after game 1.
But not to the extent of 0-2. Everyone after game 1 was saying, dude, the Celtics missed 100 shots. They're going to be completely fine. Now people are doomsday.
Well, here's the thing. And then the Celtics did exactly what they did in game 1 and game 2. So nothing changed.
I'm the only one.
Do they have the guts to change something?
I'm the only one gas-bagging on the microphone today thinking that they're going to win in 7, I feel like. Everyone, I feel like a lot of people are starting to come around on the Knicks.
They're minus 105.
A lot of people are coming around on the Knicks, though.
They're minus 105. Of course, because they're up 2-0. Of course they're thinking that, but the Celtics are minus 105 for a reason. You're not the only guy in America who thinks that the Celtics have a chance here.
That's also according to our friends at Hard Rock Bet, and I'm banking on that 105, and I'm banking on plus 160 with Cleveland. You take those odds.
I think you got to start to come to grips with the fact that at a certain point, that matchups is everything. And I think that maybe matching up, the Knicks have put together a roster that could really stand toe-to-toe and have an answer for everybody on Boston.
They didn't do it during the regular season at all. At all. That's why you
And how much do we care about the regular season?
You think the law of averages is going to come around in a 7-game series, no?
I get it. But, I mean, what good does the regular season do anybody in the NBA?
It is, but I'm not putting to bed the Celtics yet. I'm not going to put to bed
not
Cleveland.
Either. That Game 3 is going to be monumental. And both teams, I think, Indiana and the New York Knicks, are going to be very, very motivated because 3-0 is no man's land. That's dead in the water.
I mean, yeah, no one.
That's bleeding in shark-infested waters.
Now, Boston almost came back from 0-3 against the Heat, but I think this time around,
it's too much to ask for.
It will be, especially this time around. Especially this time around.
It's too much to ask for. And I think from the Warriors' perspective, they're going to think alongside of what the Nuggets thought. And the Nuggets went into that game thinking, we already did what we had to do. We stole one. And maybe this is the way the media thinks about it versus the players. But I think the Nuggets probably expected the Thunder to come out and go guns blazing and completely dominate them. So I think they were not okay with it, but they expected it.
The Joker fouled out in the third quarter, man.
That was it. They're like, all right. And the Nuggets, if any team, they let T-Wolves kill them in Game 6 of last year. They have games like that. We'll see if the Warriors do the same thing. Mike Rizzo, Colin Russo, Christian Cat. If you missed any of the program today, listen back to Russo and Rizzo on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, all those great places. We'll be back at it tomorrow afternoon, 4 to 6. As always, appreciate everybody tuning in. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay focused. Been Russo and Rizzo right here on ESPN 106.3.